Welcome everyone to session 3. So we have done a few things last week. I'll just open up. I'm going to start here and just going to open up the learning schedule just to see how we're faring with that. This is it apparently. So we've done all this stuff in the first week, familiarizing ourselves with the interface and all that stuff. Then second week, which was last week, we did a bit more about how to select stuff with window, crossing window, the lasso, coming back to you maybe when you need it. Object snap tracking, yeah, just things like that. I can't remember quite, but I think did I show you the geometric snap to geo center or something? I'll revise that if I haven't, or if I haven't done it, I'll tell you anyway. So that's one thing to maybe catch up on. All right, so this is all continuing from the second week. That's the third week here. So have we gone through, for example, circle, arc, rectangle, polygon, polygon even at all? So we haven't really done it in any great detail. I know we have drawn a circle here and there, but yeah. Okay, so sounds good. We might look at that first, just to finish off last week. The hatch, that we'll do as part of our probably our little drawing. See how we go with that. So then we've got today practicing selecting objects we've done last week, moving objects, copying, rotating, stretching, this other command, yeah, the other commands there, and yeah, I think we talked a bit about properties, but we'll do that in a minute as well. All right, so first thing is to fire up AutoCAD. If you can't find AutoCAD, go to search, type in AutoCAD under here. And it should come up with AutoCAD 2019 English and click on it. So we said we're going to do a couple of things. So what I might do is look at if we can just download something. I think yeah, because we'll be dealing with move, copy, stretch soon. Maybe we'll just get that set up first. There is a whole expanded sort of procedure of learning that, but we're just going to do the shorthand or the short part of it, just the quick way. So let's just do that. So I'm going to go back to the course here, and I'm just going to go to practice exercises, I think, here. So we've done the coordinates sort of last week, which we drew that diagram, or that funny looking thing. A few of you may have not got the right measurements in some sections, I think, and I said, did I say stretch command might help? If I did, I probably lied. But it could help depending where you got the measurement wrong, and we're going to do stretch later today, so you might see where you can how you could possibly apply that to fix your diagram. That's a very, very odd shape. Be able to fix it in any way possible, even with a stretch. So I would not even recommend you trying. I would rather just show you how to do that on some more of an architectural plan. You might get the gist of it better. All right, so moving along to editing tools here. Do not download the actual PDF. I just want you to download the drawing, this one here. And so click that. And look, you guys should be able to open it straight from there, depending what, whether you're using Chrome or Internet Explorer, it'll put it in the downloads. I'm just going to go through AutoCAD because I've got two different AutoCADs and always opens it up from the wrong one if I click on it. So let's go open. Here we go. All right, so that looks like that. Now, your interface, if you have moved computers, it might look a bit different. So mine looks like this. I've got the what's it called? Command line. What is this called? This is command line. Command line docked here. And this is my properties palette. If you're not sure to get the properties palette up, it is the shorthand control 1. You can bring it up, control 1, control key, and number 1, on, off, sort of thing. So the other way is to click on any entity of this, right click, and properties is the option at the bottom there, and it'll come up under view, I think, view. It's actually a button for it under the view tab, properties. 3 different ways, probably a 4th one. All right, so 3 different ways is fine. All right, anyway, I'd try and have that up because sometimes it's useful, but it's also making AutoCAD look and feel a bit more like Revit, and you were doing Revit as well, so try and keep the idea of how things work similarly, where they do have some similarities. Like try and use it that way. So all right, so the first thing to do is finish off those object snaps from last week and a few other little commands. We're going to use this drawing, and then we're going to go and do the move copy like we need to, which is the other reason we downloaded this. All right, anybody not able to open this up yet? This, yeah, it'll be in the downloads folder usually. So if you file open, here on. Oh, how do you find it? Good question. All right, so you got it open, but you can't see anything on your screen, so it looks like this. Right, yeah. Yeah, it does look like that. It's blank. All right, so anyone know what does the mouse do? 3 different things. This little button here on the mouse does 3 things. The scroller does 3 things. One is zooming in and out. The other one is hold it down and move the mouse is panning, and double clicking it, it brings it back into view. All right, so double click onto the scroller in the graphics area. Yes. Recording. Okay, so we can't see that. Well, I can't even see that myself here, so I don't know how you can see it. All right, so what I'm going to do, and it's up to you if you want to do it for your screen as well. I could do one of 2 things. I could change my black background to white, or I can change the color to be something else that I can see and you can see better. I'd rather just give it to black for now, just so we know what which space we're in AutoCAD. I know Revit is all white everywhere you go. This one's got a black section, it's got a white section. So the white section usually is where it says layout 1. If I just may go in there for a minute, it looks like that. So if you're ever in here, you shouldn't be drawing your model in here. Usually is where you put your title block and then you print it from here. So I could make my other screen look like that as well, but then I might get confused as to which space I'm in. So I'm going to opt for changing the color of this layer. How do I know what layer this is? I don't actually know, but I'm going to guess by going down here. All right, and it's the only blue one. It's probably walls. Or you can actually, if you had a whole heap of layers, a little trick is to actually click on this entity here, and it brings up the name immediately of what it is here, so you can't really go wrong. So if once I get that up there like this, it's in focus, I know it's highlighted, so I'm just going to change the color. And let's just see how that goes. If I click on here on the actual color, let's settle for look, yellow is nice on the black. It's not good on the white. We're only in the black section now, so should be all right. All right, so there you go. So now change, although I was highlighting one object, it changed all of the objects to do with the wall. This is a good little lesson because I haven't really done layers before, okay? So it's a good little lesson about layers and why you should be always drawing in a particular layer, and why you should not be ever changing the colors in here. Here you should say always by layer for the color, always by layer for the line weight, and by layer for the line type. So that there you should not be changing except for very exceptional cases, very exceptional cases perhaps. The reason for that is if I set my color to yellow, for example here, my my sorry, what layer am I? My current layer is actually dimensions. So that's white. If I was to change, and this is only to show you what not to do, okay? So you don't even have to do it on your computer. Let's just look up here. If I say, okay, dimensions are white, but I'm going to change it so it's that red color. So I'll start doing my dimensions, although I'm just going to draw lines. Okay, here we go. So I've done all these lines. They're in layer dimensions. It should be white, but they're red. So then later on, I come along and say, oh, gee, I'd like to change those. Imagine those lines are not like 6 or 7 lines. Imagine they're about 70 lines I've got around the place by now. And I want to change them to be another color for some reason, whether I can't see it on the screen or whether I want to give it a different line weight. So what I have to do is go along and find each one, highlight it, or in whichever method I want to use. And that's easy to do because imagine these lines being between other lines and text in between. You just can't do a window. You have to pick each one more than likely, right? So you pick each one, and then you say, okay, oh yeah, I want it to be this color now. That's great. I did that, but that's taken me a little while. Okay. Imagine though, if the color was not that, but it was actually saying by layer, which means, hey, go with the color that has been set inside the layer dialog box. And you can see every layer name here has a color, and some are the same, but nevertheless it's got a color. Right, so if we then, so now I can go in the layer dialog box or just through here and say, hey, I don't like those dimensions. I really want them to be, that color. So go, okay. Everything changed without me picking anything. Very quick, all right? That's why we draw everything, whether it's its color, the layer property, whether it's its color, whether it's its line type or the line weight, it's always by layer. So we never change this up here, all right? Now, notice also, now I've changed that there, great. That's changed, beautiful, that's fine. But up here, it still says that color. In fact, that color will probably remain there, even if I say, oh, I want to draw in the assessment now. Wrong, shouldn't pick that up, it was frozen. Try door. I'm going to draw in doors now. Yeah, no worries. So you just go draw doors. Hey, the doors is that as well now. So that stays there for every layer that you want to use for the whole drawing. It'll be that color, no matter what the layer is. We can still turn things on and off using the layer. For example, I could go here and say, let me just set 0 for a minute. I can go here and say, oh yeah, I want to turn off the doors. That's great. They're turned off. The dimensions, yep, they turn off. But the color was forced to be that. So we need to make sure that we never have anything that says there anything other than by layer. All right, always in here by layer. Always check that. When I say to you, go and change the color of the layer, don't go over here. Go over here and change the layer of the color of the layer. So I did the walls before. For example, I can change that back to. I can change that to be a green one if I want. That's fine. That's allowed. If I click on this here now, it says it's green, yes, but it's by layer. So I can easily update the colors. All right, just a little quick lesson there. That was not really an intended lesson, but it's a lesson we need to learn along the way, and we'll reiterate. Okay, so where were we? Yes, have I talked to you about this guy here, geometric center? All right, geometric center, probably not. Okay, so geometric center works with anything that's it's a closed polygon. So it can be a rectangle, perhaps, a hexagonal table, whatever, or any odd shape that we did last week, as long as it's a polygon enclosed. It's not open-ended. So the shape we did last week was very interesting. I'll just step back to walls layer for now. Draw a line. I mean, we had this funny looking shape which went off like whatever it did, all sorts of things. All right, like that. Nothing like it, but that's a shape. Nevertheless, that's irregular. I can't use geometric center on this one. Right, it's closed, but it's not polygons. It's made out of lines. Right. If I wanted to use that, object snap on here, I'll have to change all my lines to be polylines. So that's easily done using the, does anyone know what command? Have we covered the little join command? Join? No. All right. So down here under the Modify tab panel, all right, of the Home tab, if I click it, there's a thing here called Join, all right. This one above it will also do, but it's a little more complicated to get to do what you want to do. Join is very easy to use, or J for join is the short command. Okay, so all you do is click. Well, you can click that first, but you know, if we're going to go down the path of pre-selecting, you select everything, the crossing window or normal window, or you can do lasso. Remember, hold your button down and just trace around it. Right? Any selection. All right, so we've got those now. All I'll do is just press K and then press Enter. Done. Instant polygon. It's made out of polylines. So it just means it's one entity, the whole thing. All right. So now I can actually start a line from its geometric center, which it can be somewhere. It just sort of basically works out the area of this, and just then it works out where, I suppose, where the center of gravity might be of this if it was a solid, but it's only 2D. So sometimes the center of gravity of an object is outside of the object as well. Okay, so having said that, if I draw a line and I go Shift right click and I go to the geometric center, I just go to the perimeter of this and it comes up with that. Now I have the choice of moving in to that and then clicking, or simply just clicking anywhere on the perimeter. It will begin from the geometric center of this object. And then just draw it anywhere after that. Perfect. So, you know, if I modify this object, perhaps it looks like that. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen now, but if I go draw a line now, right click, shift right click, geometric center. We're still inside there, right? So it starts there. So it's shifted, right? If I muck around long enough, I'll get it so that it's outside it. Perhaps if I did that, maybe, yeah. If I go line now, shift right click, geometric center. Ooh, just made it. Okay, so I am outside the actual object now. So it's just how that works. You probably will not have too much of a use for it, except for this, the rectangle command. If I click rectangle, we might as well do that now while we're at it, eh? How about if we draw a rectangle each? So I click rectangle, which is this one here. If you have a look, if you read down here in your command line, it says specify first corner point. All right. So, okay, my rectangle is going to start from here. And then it says a few options down here, area, dimension, rotation. I'm going to go with the dimensions one. Don't normally use the other two, but can if you need to. And it says, okay, what's the X direction? Or it says, what's the length? That's the X direction. Let's make it 2000. And then enter. Golden rule, eh? Every time you type something in, you press enter. All right, so then he wants the Y direction, which is the width. And let's make that 1000. Enter. There you go. So you got a table, right? Not yet. See how it's moving when I'm moving my mouse? So now it's asking me, okay, you click where you're going to start it, which was about there. Now, where do you want to place it? Down there, up here, you know, just choose anything. You just have to click somewhere. There. All right. So there's my little, let's call it a table. Suppose you wanted to place something on the table, or suppose you want to pick up the table from the center of that. You can say, okay, if you want to move it, you pick it up from the center. But say you want to place something on there. Say you want to put a vase right in the middle of it, a round thing. So draw a vase, which is a circle. Here you go. So we're going to have this round thing. We'll call it a vase, and it's going to go around the center of that. All right. So if I zoom in here, it says here, circle. Start the circle from where? Well, I want to start it from the center of that table. But you cannot use, shift right click, the center object snap because that's only reserved for circles, right? But geometric center is good enough for this. If I use that, I can go there on the perimeter. It detects the geometric center of that perimeter. I can even click there. I don't have to move any further. Click. And now I can tell it how what the radius is of my vase. Say it's a 150 vase, so we've got a 75 radius. 75. 75, yes, enter. There's my vase in the middle of the table in 2D top view, right? So that's one way you can use it. Does anyone know another way I could have placed that right in the same location? All right, does anyone remember this object snap? Mid between 2 points, have we done that? Okay, that's the one. What about from? Have we done from? Excellent, we'll do that. All right, so middle between 2 points will also help. This is how we do it. I'll just delete this one. So if I go circle, and I go, okay, where are you going to start it from? Well, I got choices. I can go shift right click and do geometric center, of course, or I can do this one. This one here requires an extra click because I have to tell it, oh, I clicked somewhere already, sorry. Okay, before I click anywhere, I go shift right click and I go mid between 2 points. And now it wants 2 points. Now, usually I'll give it the diagonal points, this point and that point, and then it works out the halfway mark between those 2 points. Or you can do that point and that point, or you can do that point and that point, or you can do that point and that point. It's the same thing. Because it's a rectangle, it'll find it. Anyway, I'll stick with this and that, and there you go. So I found it. Now tell it how big it is. 75. Done. So I want to draw another vase. It's the theme of the day, by the way. And I want to, I mean, my table is like 2 meters by 1 meter. So I want to place one actually around about there. And I've got some dimensions exactly where to put it in my head. They're coming to me, don't worry, I'll tell you. Those dimensions are about 400 millimeters from that corner there. And if we measure from that corner down, I want it to be 250. All right. How do I place this object right there? With the reference being that top right-hand corner. All right. So I'll use the word from that top right-hand corner, left-hand corner, sorry. My brain's reversed. Okay, top left-hand corner, this one here. I want to, from that corner, I want to use that as my reference point, and I want AutoCAD to count 400 millimeters to the right and 250 down. All right. So we issue the command, whether it's a line command, what do we want to draw? In this case, we just want to draw a circle. So we click the circle, and we go shift right click, and we use the from command. Does anyone know how else we could input the from command? It doesn't exist down here. Down in this object snap section, the status bar, the only things that exist are from here down up to there, and this last two and anything above here does not exist down there. So you can only get it from here, or you can type it in. I could type in from enter. For the endpoint, I could type in END, MID for midpoint. Well, that's first 3 letters, so you could type them in. Anyway, no one will, so let's go shift right click from. So the first thing he wants to know is specify the center point for the circle. But I'm saying, hang on a minute, I can't give you that because I've issued the from command, and the from command's got its own prompt. We're still doing the circle command, but this thing is telling us to do something. And it's saying, okay, tell me where's this base point, where's this corner that you're talking about. So first of all, I've got to identify the corner. This is the corner here. It can be an endpoint, it can be anything. So that's the corner. Thank you. So AutoCAD's happy now, but then he goes on and says, well, it doesn't say anything actually. From base point, offset. Okay, so actually it doesn't say much that we can help us with, but what you need to do now is put in what you learned last week. So from that shape, we had some things where we went at, say, 60 millimeters at the angle of whatever, 35, say. All right. So, but we also had some other ones that were at, and it was an X and a Y coordinate. This is one of those where it's an X and a Y coordinate, where I've told you it's going to go along the X 400 and along the Y 250. All right. So first thing you got to do, we taught it from already. We clicked on the corner. Now we've got to give it a relative coordinate at sign. All right. So go shift and number 2 at. We're going to step 400 to the right. Has anyone got the other measurement for me? What's the other one going to be? 250? Half right. Definitely 250 it is, but negative or positive? Yes, negative. Because it's going below the point of reference. Yeah. So it's minus 250. And let's hope this is right. Enter. Okay. So it starts there. So now we're in the full. All that trouble was to just start the circle command. Now we'll tell it how big we want it. That's easy. We've done that before. 75. Again, there's my vase in a predefined position. Question. Oh, all right. So the next thing is have a look what else we have missed, what we don't know from here. I'm just going to go shift right click here for a minute, and I'm going to run through. We've done the from, the mid. We're not going to bother with that one or that one or that one. We know endpoint, midpoint, intersection. Apparent intersection we haven't done. Extension we've done last week, where you hang around on a line and just does a line across. Node, by the way, is if you want to latch onto a point, there is a command called point. It just puts a dot. That's all. Not very useful, but surveyors love them because that's all they do. Dots, dot to dot, basically, literally. That's what surveyors do. Dot to dot. They go out on site, dot with their staff, and the what they call the other light. It's the old days, and they collect dots from anywhere. So then they would, to draw this wall, they come along, dot in the corner there, dot in the corner down there, go back to the office, it gives them 2 dots, and they just literally draw a line between the 2 dots. So that's how they latch onto dots. Node. All right, we don't have much use for that. Beautiful. The tangent, we haven't done much of tangent. We haven't done anything on quadrants. Probably more useful. All right, so if I wanted to latch onto the, if I click on the circle, you can see it's got 4 quadrants and a center. So they're control points where we can latch onto that circle accurately. We can't latch onto the middle of that. We can't do that. Between, like, we can't go from the center between there and there. We can't do it. There's no midpoint there. But we can use those control points. How do we do that? All right, so we go line, for example. And if I go there, it's coming up with all sorts of stuff. Well, it's actually one thing. If I go in the middle here, see, nothing's coming up. Maybe my settings are all right. Specify the first point of the line. Well, nothing's coming up. The center should have come up. I'll just check what I got in. Oops, wrong one. My center is turned off. Of course, we don't have center. I should have known that. So the center's not there. The coordinate's not there. So we can't really work with this circle at this point. Now, if I had many circles or arcs in my drawing and I needed to work with those all the time, I would put a tick next to the center, and I would also put a tick next to the quadrant down here, right? But if it's just a one-off, we don't bother with it. So for example, now it's just a one-off. So I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to go and use the shift right click and click on quadrant. And mine is jumping around because I clicked on the object, so the snapping mode. So I'm going to turn that off myself. I accidentally clicked on it. So now it's smoother. So now if I move on to here, you can see I can latch onto there, there, and there. All right. So say I just go there. Here's my line. Beautiful. I'll draw it out here. Then I want to go to the center of that circle again. Or if I want to go to the quadrant, you say, well, hang on, but you did do shift right click and you did click quadrant. Why is it not there the second time? Because anything you pick from this, you can think of it as a disposable cup. You use it once and you check it out, unless you can reuse it. Yeah, so yeah, it's disposable. Think of them as disposable commands. They only work once. That's it. Whereas the ones down here are running object snaps. They call them running object snaps. They're always active. Okay. So yeah, to go to the center again, I haven't got that. So I shift right click center, and there's my center. I found it. If you can't find it, just hang around here on the circumference, and just when you see the circle thing come up in the middle there, just click on the circumference. You don't even have to move there. Click, it goes there. Right? There you go. So that's how you can latch onto circular things, curvy things like that. All right? Question? Okay. Yes. Do you have a command active? You have a line command active, for example? Right, you need to have that active. Then you'll be able to command active, then you go shift right click, and then you pick, so the quadrant. Just go to one of the areas, yeah, and you can see it happening, and then click on that, and to the center, I haven't got a center, so shift right click center, and I go there it is, enter, finish. You're welcome. Now, while we're here, I wonder what we can do here. What if I wanted to put my vase right in the corner there? Right in the corner. Just hope you don't push it off. How can we do that? Let's have a look. Have I done this before? Let's have a look what I've got here. Well, there's a thing called circle, tan radius. There's a thing here called shift right. I've got shift right click. There's also a thing called tangent. I'll talk to you about that later. But I'm going to put my vase right in the corner. I'm going to go circle. I'm going to go. I can do circle, and then select the option here, TTR, tan radius, or I could shortcut that and select it from here, and it just puts it in automatically for me. So I don't have to. It puts that option. See up here. That's how we've got more than one line of command line. It actually typed in TTR for me, that command, input it for me. So I don't have to worry about selecting that option. So what it's expecting is tan radius. So I've got to tell it the two lines that the circle is going to scribe itself onto. So that's one line, and that's the other line. And what do we want? The radius. Then the radius. So 75 again, enter. There it is. It's very snug on that line there, those two lines. So while we're sitting on tan, what if I wanted to start a line from that circle to somewhere? All right, line, shift right click, because tan or tangent is not one of those things that's what tan stands for, by the way, tangent. Tangent is not one of those things that we use often. So we don't have it set up. So tangent, and just hang around here. Anywhere you want to start the line from. You can start from anywhere and then just decide, oh no, I actually want it over here. and I want to go perpendicular to that line, for example. So you wanted to draw another line from, if you wanted to do that in this situation, it's just like picking it up from the quadrant. So it probably doesn't make sense. But what if you wanted to put it back, if you had another circle down here, what if you want to draw a line from the tangent of that circle to the tangent of this circle? You go shift right click tangent, and you hang around here. Where am I hanging? So I want to put it down the bottom here, or I want to put it at the top here. Can I put it over here? I don't know what's going to happen there if I do that. Probably move it. I don't know. I'm imagining I want it like this. I don't know what that's going to do. Yes, that. Right. So because I was a little bit above halfway, put it up there. I think if I was a little bit below halfway, I would have put it down here. So if I try that again, I go line from shift right click, tangent, this one. This time I'll get it from up here, and I'll put it down there, down the bottom. Now can I just put it there because I can see it goes there, or I can just go a little bit below the halfway. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work, did I? So I'll undo that. That didn't work. Shift right click, tangent. Sure, the other one worked. This one didn't work. I'll just not play. I'll play it safe. I'll just hang around here, see what happens. There you go. It worked. So you can see those two lines are ascribed on the circumference of each circle. Right? They're not at the quadrant of any one of them, although it sort of looks like it. But the quadrant is there, and the end of the line is actually here. Just there. Right? All right. So yeah. All right, so we just had a quick break, and in the break, we were talking about this Facebook group called the BIM Collaboration Experience, and it's something that it's anyone that it's not really related to CAD, but I know some of you will be doing the BIM software called Revit, and that relates to that. That's in the family of BIM, Building Information Modeling. So you might as well jump on that and become part of that group. And it's mainly students and some lecturers on there. And it's a good way of there's a lot of graduate students on there as well. And it's good for them to keep in touch with us, and they can sometimes share where they're at and what they're doing and their projects. So it's something that you can stay on there for life, even after you finish this. So handy for advertising jobs. Did I say that? All right, let's move on. You can search for this particular title here in Facebook and should come up. Okay. All right. So, and we have a LinkedIn one as well, not as widely used. Okay. All right. Discussions you have during the break. Now let's close that. All right. So we're back here into the world of tangents. Went off of a tangent, as I say. So let's escape that. All right, easy. So we've covered everything that I think we need to know for now for here. I did talk about last week as a bit of a revision, if nothing else. And if I haven't talked about it, please forgive me. I am forgetful. So let's go with if I just draw a line here and a line there. About that extension thing. Have we done that one where you go line and you just go hang around there, and just drag it in the same direction as the line? And just go up a bit there. Oh, you want to click right again. Don't click. You just go here. Don't click. Keep going. Then you just start this one after that. And you just keep going until that finds the where it would have met if you continued on. Yeah. So that's using the extension command. So that's this one here. That's this one here, that object snap. Have we done that last week, or did I miss the whole thing? Yeah. And then we did this other thing called next to the object snaps, show snapping reference lines, which is the object snap tracking. That one is a bit different, because if I wanted to do a similar thing with that will also do what this one did before. You know, this particular thing would have done that for me easily. But what this one here, the extension can't do for me is this. The extension can't do this for me. It can't work out where, for example, if I drew a line straight down here, and if I drew a line straight across here, where they would have met. So the only way for me to do that, if I didn't have this drawing aid, I call it, would be for me to actually draw a line down here and a line across here, and where they intersect, do my circle there or whatever. So if I want to start a circle from that location there, using the snapping ones, this one here, as a bit of a revision, I hit the circle. I didn't use circle last time. This is 10-10 one. It's got a normal circle. And I'll go then hang around there, go straight down. You don't have to go all the way down. Then just forget about that. Move to the next one, go left. And where they intersect, it gives you a white cross, X, click it. And that's where your circle will start. Right there. Right. Yeah, you have to have well, first you have to have this on, yeah, and then just issue a command, any command. I did circle, yeah, and then okay, where are you going to put your circle? Well, I want to put my circle, for example, now where that line is, comes across here, and it lines up with the bottom of that. Oops, there, with that intersection, but down. I can get the intersection to happen. No, it won't let me do it. I wanted to draw a line straight down here. Oh, maybe there. I got it. There. So if I draw a horizontal line now here, across here, just for a check, and from the intersection there. Now, there's an intersection there, but there happens to be a midpoint there as well. If I wanted to make sure I got the intersection and not the midpoint, which may or might not be the same thing in this instance, it could be a little bit out, and it's just showing me one instead of the other. If I wanted the actual intersection to make sure, how do I do that? Because we have a midpoint active and we have the intersection active, and there's a possibility that there's two nearby there or maybe on top of each other, how do we select one over the other? Excellent. You should not know because I haven't told you yet. So what you do is use a tab key once, twice, 3 times. There you go, found it. Just keep doing it until it finds and says intersection. And then you click, and then you go straight down, there. And now where they cross, it should be the center of that, if I've done it right. I was just checking. There you go. There's another way though. Ha! There was another way. If I erase, you try that first, and then, are you getting that where it's giving you midpoint over intersection perhaps? You might not have that situation, but you might have a different situation where you could actually create the situation maybe. Well, yes, you can create this situation like this. For example, you could draw a line from the quadrant of that. So you go shift right click, quadrant, to shift right click the quadrant again, and put it there. Enter to finish. Then you could do another line, shift right click, quadrant, there, shift right click, quadrant. Lots of practice with the shift right click. Where's the quadrant? Oh, there it is. There. So there now, there will be a midpoint, but there's also an intersection right on top of each other. So if I want to go, it's the same thing, but just for practicing, if I want to go line, midpoint. Okay, well I want tap, 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 tap. There you go, intersection. Then I find it and draw a line. Here's another way. If you're finding difficulty tabbing, you do this. So you go line, you go shift right click, and go intersection here. So even though we have intersection running all the time, I'm telling you now to pick up one of those disposable ones, right? Yes, it is disposable, but what it does, it actually overrides all the others that are set and just concentrate on one. So it turns off momentarily those, the endpoint, midpoint that we've got set up, and just concentrates on what you clicked on. So if I go intersection, I go here, and it only shows me intersection from the beginning. Easier than tabbing, maybe. So there you go. You don't have to worry about tab. You just forget about everything else. Yes, question. All right, so next question, next thing is this one here. All right, so we covered the object snaps, and we'll be continuously covering the object snaps because we're using them all the time anyway. So all good. So now moving objects, copying objects. Let's start with those two for the remainder of the time we got. Moving. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff on this little table here, but the actual exercise was this one here to move this thing here along. So we perhaps use this from now on. Now you don't have to save this, and if you want, you can erase that, but that can just stay there. All right, so this is an exercise. Okay, so let's go. If I want to move this table, and I want to place it from the bottom left-hand corner there to the corner there, right? Now that's moving it using geometry. What's on the screen, what we've drawn already, to place it. All right. You can also move stuff by giving coordinates or polar coordinates, which is a distance and an angle. Right. So far we used coordinates and polar coordinates and absolute coordinates, just drawing that line thing, drawing lines. But you can use it with move, with copy, right? Yeah, I'll do move now. So, so first thing to do is to select everything. So I click once, let go of my finger and click again. There's everything. Right? So then I go, right, I want to move it. So how do I invoke the move command? Anyone give me one way of doing it? Sorry, M, and enter. If you press M, you're going to press enter, of course. What's another way? What's the easiest way? Sorry? Click move? Yeah, possibly. Yeah. The easiest way is the way that you are comfortable with, usually. But yeah, it's a trick question. So yeah, move. And there's another way. Anyone know? We're into the theme of today is to sort of right click, not shift right click, but you can right click. Usually, oh, not this time around. Obviously that didn't work. Usually you can right click. There you go. And select move from here. Right. Copy selection is like the copy command up here, this one. Clipboard copy is different to that copy, all right? So don't get them confused. All right, so yeah, I can go move from here or type move enter. All right, so okay, so we've done that. Now, because I told you already that this corner has to line up with this corner here, you have no choice but to pick it up from that corner and place it at that corner. Now, the most common mistake that people do is run ahead and they know where they want to put it. So the immediate thing they do is actually go, okay, where are we going? We're just going to go there, click. And then they think, oh, I can't line it up now because my cursor's over here and it's over there. Not good, right? So you've got to be careful that you, let's go like that, M for M move. All right, so you pick it up. The question here is, the first question is specify base point. Means if you translate it in English, where do you want to pick it up from? Right? I want to pick it up from this corner here. So you got it with the copy commands the same. You've got to tell it where you pick it up from. And then where do you want to place it? Specify second point means where do you want to place it? I want to place it here. I don't know why they don't talk English at Autodesk World, but anyway. I want to place it at this corner here. Right there. That's it. It's moved from, it's lining up. It's good. It's perfect. It's 100%. How about that? Everyone managed that? How easy was that? Yes, no? Yes. All right, good. All happy? Move on? All right. So suppose I want to move this table now from where that is and move it to another corner. That's easy. It's the same way, isn't it? Let's learn something new. Suppose I want to move this table 3 meters to the right. We highlight. We go move. Where do we pick it up from? If I go 3 meters to the right, there's absolutely nothing. How do I place it accurately 3 meters to the right? How do I place that corner there exactly 3 meters away to there? There's nothing there. So I can't click onto the corner and then place it to nothing because I don't know where nothing is. So I'm going to have to use some of the other stuff we learned. So I can pick it up from there. There's no problem. Like I know where that is. But also, if I'm going to type in a distance or a number or a coordinate or whatever, it doesn't matter where I pick it up from because it moves relative to my crosshair. It'll move 3 meters away. So if I picked it up from here, let's say, as I move along, my cursor up on the screen says 800, or maybe there is something 3 meters away. Maybe the scale is very small here. Oh no, 3 meters. So we've arrived at about 3 meters there. That's where it's going to land roughly. So you can see my crosshair is totally different, but the table horizontally will move across 3 meters. And that's going to move horizontally across because I have down here set up the polar tracking. But just to make sure, I will put on ortho so that it's definitely going horizontally here. I'm locked in my crosshair, so it only goes horizontally. So now, if I type in 3000 and press enter, it'll go that way because I'm pointing that way to the right, 3000 millimeters, which is what I want. Remember with that first line we drew last week, we went 250 millimeters to the right. This time it's 3000. We're typing 3000, enter, that's the result. There it is. So it didn't matter where I picked it. I could have picked it up from the corner of the table. It would have been the same result. So the lesson of the day is, if you're going to type anything in, like a distance, a polar coordinate, absolute coordinate, sorry, well, even absolute coordinate is fine, relative coordinate, anything like that, or direct distance, like we did just then, it does not matter where you pick it up from. All right? How did that go with everyone? Good, fantastic. All right, so let's now, and if you run through the proper exercise that they give you online for this, it'll practice a few little things like that. We're just shortcutting that a bit. So if we now select all this, and we want to move it, but I want to move it at an angle of 45 degrees to where it is now, at a northwest orientation. Right? So if I do that, what that means, if I want to move it sort of, have we done this last week? Have we done it where we done this thing here? Where is it? Here. Have we done it where we set this to snap at 45 degrees? No, let's learn that now. All right, so if I click this on, if I click it on by default, actually, it's set to 90 degrees. Just check. Is yours set to 90 degrees normally? Right, change it so it's say 45 degrees. Or you can see there's 30 there, 23, that's a nice number. 18, that's another nice number. 15 is a good number. All right, so let's go 45. So we can actually lock in our crosshair. So if we're drawing a line, we can start our line from, say, here. And see how it locks in at every 45 degrees? It gives you that, practice that. It gives you that green line. That means it's locking in. So it's the same thing as locking in at a horizontal or vertical orientation, but this time I'm locking it in, as you can see here, at 135 degrees from the 3 o'clock position. Right? So it means that actually I can draw something, say if I wanted you to draw a line that goes from where I started at 2 meters at the angle of 135, normally I would have to type in at 2000, angle symbol, 135, enter. There it is, done. I can also do it quicker because I've got that thing set up. What's that thing called? It's got a name, isn't it? Polar tracking. If I set my polar tracking and I click here, I can just head that way and type in 2000. It's the same result, except faster. All right, um, so polar tracking is what we need. Polar tracking just means it's tracking the angle of travel at 45 at this distance. We're locked in at every 45 degrees. It locks in. All right, have a go at that. I just really only put that on there to show you the direction we want to travel with this table. We want to travel in that direction, at 45. But in fact, if I draw another line from here across, our angles are measured from there around to 90 there, a little bit more, 135. So 0 angle is here, 90 is on top, and then this is somewhere between this 180 and halfway between 180 and 90, so it's 135. So I want to travel at angle of 135 with this table, which is basically moving at a 45-degree angle. All right, so I highlight this and I move. Now, again, doesn't matter where I click. I am going to type in a number, just like I did before. I wanted to go horizontally to 1000. I'm going to go at an angle of 2500 now, of 45 degrees. I've got my snapping thing set up, so I don't need to, even if I didn't have the snapping angle set up, I'm going to type a number. I'm either going to type in at 2500 angle 135, or I'm just going to just type 2500 because I'm going that direction. So either way, it doesn't matter where I pick it up from. I just click somewhere, I head that direction, there we go, and I type in 2500. There it is. So it's moved along that sort of angle, or that track sort of thing, that direction. All right. How about that? And that's because I set this up here to be sitting at 45 degrees. That's sort of moving really. That's it. We can do some copying, which is not too different to moving. It's just got an additional. I suppose you just with moving, you just go from the life of the commands have AutoCAD commands have different lifespan depending what they are, and some are simple, some are complicated. So the erase command is very simple. You just select something, click erase, it's gone, it's finished. This one here, you select something and you go move. So all you need to know is like, here I am now, there I am now, it finishes. But things like the line command, copy command, go on forever. You can draw in lines forever until you press escape. Same with the copy. You could be copying forever until you press escape. By default, it does multiple copies. So let's have a look at the copy command. It's exactly the same as the move command, except it goes forever. So let's go, except it doesn't move it as well. It just keeps the copy where it used to be as well. So let's highlight this guy here. There you go. Make sure you don't have a command active, obviously, when you try to highlight. Escape a couple of times. Make sure it says down the bottom here, type a command, in which case you don't type a command. You just select something like that. All right, so now we can go and copy. So here, click copy. Again, same things apply. If I want to copy it so that that corner here is exactly on that corner there, I pick it up from that corner there and I put it to that corner there. And then it's still latched onto that corner there, so now I can do more copies. I can put some random ones, which that I don't know where, when, or how, what angle. If you want to do accurate stuff, you might go horizontally, for example, like before. We'll put in, let's just say we put in 1.5 meters this time to 1500, and that's copied it across there. And so happened. Oh, look at that! It must be a 1500 table, so it's butting onto the other one. That was just a fluke. I didn't know the length of the table. so it's starting onto it. That's fine if you want to put a desk next to another desk. Quite often you do. All right, so like here. So that's good. All right, so obviously then if you want to do this at 45 degrees, you just head to the little guideline, 45 degrees, and you want to take it at 2.5. And there it goes. You put it there, just through the wall. Perfect. Not often you want to do that, but that's where it is. All right, so all those things we practiced before with the move command apply to this, except it keeps going until we say, okay, look, I had enough of copying. You know, you might do another couple random ones, and then go, okay, I had enough, escape, I'm done. That's all my desks. All right. So once you learn the move command, it's easier to learn the other one. Yeah, have a go. So I'm just checking if we've got to rotate here, and it doesn't look like I can see it anywhere on the titles here. So we will cover it, but using our own list. For now, we're going to just do stretch, which is the last bit of this particular download we did. Not that it matters what you have, but this plan is pretty good to stretch with. So again, I don't know what the exercise is doing. I can't remember, but I'll show you a way of doing stretch. Very interesting. We've got a bit of a mess here. I do have one of these things here as well. So I've got to be careful when you've got other stuff in the way when you're stretching. All right. So especially if you've got doors and windows, which we haven't got anything in here now, but we've got a table. So if I was to just tell you, look, make this side of that wall an extra meter wider, right, to the left. You use the stretch command. So you can have been informed up until now, I didn't realize, but stretch is one of those you can pre-select as well, I think. So if I click here and go here, and then I press stretch, and I go click here, and I can go 1000. Again, I just clicked anywhere, and I'll type in 1000. Because I'm typing in 1000, I can actually click anywhere to start the command. They all have this, or most of them have this thing where do you want to, it calls a base point, but if it's a stretch command, just think, all right, where do you want to grab it again? Where do you want to start stretching it from? And if it matters, then that's fine. If it doesn't matter, then don't worry about it. You just click anywhere and just put the number like I did. So let me just undo that. So I went and I did this window here. Now it's important that you do this window and not this window, because this window has selected 0. All right, so this window here, what it does, as you can see there, and I need another mouse pointer to show you on the screen, but if you can imagine on the right hand side of that dashed a green rectangle, a dotted line, where that dotted line touches the wall, both the top and bottom, that part of the wall will rubber band, will stretch. It also compresses. I can make that house smaller as well, that room, by actually going to the right and not to the left. So on the other side of that rectangle, there's nothing it doesn't touch anything, so it's not going to rubber band or stretch anything. But in the middle of it, we've got the 2 vertical lines. What's inside that rectangle wholly will actually just move, and the other bits will just rubber band. So if I click here now, that's what's going to happen. I go stretch, and I just click somewhere, and I go left. Normally you don't want to do this with your house, eh? So you just go left. Make sure you're horizontal. You can lock in your ortho if you like. Type in, say, 1000. There we go. Done. Easy. Have a go at that, because I want to show you something else before you go as well with this command. It's good command. So what we're going to do now is this. If you haven't got I want to bring that wall so it touches that table there. If you've got your table way back in, it's going to give you a funny result. If you want to bring the wall all the way in here, it's going to be a funny result. But if you've got something like I have here, if you haven't, you might want to wish to highlight a table, for example, and go move and bring it just a little bit, say, closer to there, right? And now, now I want you to bring the wall to actually match up to the table. So we done our table set out, and we don't really need the room that big. We want to bring it back so it's just up to our tables. All right. So now we have somewhere where we want to go, but we don't know what the distance is between here and here. How do we find out what the distance is? Anyone know? So dimension. Yes and no. Dimension is close. Sorry? Yes, measure is better because it's usually more accurate if, as you can see down the bottom here in my coordinates, it actually is to the nearest decimal point. Right? So, whereas the dimensions tend to be, especially in an architectural office where they have their template files, they will have them rounding up to the nearest millimeter, so it's not as accurate. And even this is not as accurate. It's to the nearest millimeter, not to the nearest, say, two decimal points, nearest one decimal point. Yeah. So if I measure, I can go here to the end point, and then I go perpendicular to there, straight across. It's 810.8. How can I be sure it's 810.8 and not 810.71, 7685 or whatever? We're not sure. We don't know because the accuracy of our units is not set up. We can make it to the 8 decimal points if we want, although it's building, so it's not a big deal. But in some industries, that's important to get it down to the nearest 2 decimal points, right? So now, and on top of all that, what we've done is 2 things. We wasted time measuring. We have to remember the number and then hope to type it in right. So there's all these errors coming up, right? So what we do is this. We don't care what that is. We just want to take our wall up to that table, right? So what we do our green stretch, green window. And now it is important that in this instance, pick up my, when I go stretch, it's important that I hook onto this wall somewhere. Now, I can hook on down here, that's fine, that's on the wall, but then my table is all the way up there, so it will be a little difficult, but let's do it. So, midpoint is what's coming up. So let's go, midpoint there. And I want to go perpendicular to that, but look, I go to that line, but it's giving me the end point. There's nothing here. I know it's got to come straight across here, but it's got to touch that. So how do I make it touch that when that is not there? It's not lining up. Anyone know? What command makes it go straight across? Or subcommand? What object snap? What are object snaps? Let's have a look. Shift right click. Which object snap here will make it go straight across 90 degrees? Sorry? Ortho mode would do it, but it's not as an object snap. I want to be able to snap onto the desk. Sorry? Endpoint is doing that by default. If I go here, see, it's picking up the endpoint, but it was actually what it would do is, see, it's pushing my house up. That's not the result I want. I want to come straight across. So in here, I've got a thing called, not there, get it on one. Thing called perpendicular on, but it's not helping me now. That's the one that's got to help me, but it's not helping me because it's not finding it. So I can force it to find it, like before with the intersection. I can go shift right click, perpendicular. So that's forcing it. So now if I come here, yes, my house looks like it's going to go all over the place. But if you have a look down, keep your eye down here, a little right angle symbol comes up. It means it's going straight across there. So that is actually the table, or the wall is butted up to the table rather than the other way around. But yeah, that's what we've done. Try that out, and I'll show you another way in a minute. How many ways are there? 15 minutes of stretching. Wow. Yes. So yeah, some of you, your table was down here, so it was okay, it worked. But my table's up there. So I'll show you something else. What I would do in that situation. Not that it saves me any more clicks, but it gives me the opportunity to show you something else that we haven't done before probably. So if I go the same thing, again, those vertical lines have to be wholly in there. The question previously was off air, was I did this and it's not working. It looks like the result's the same. It's highlighted, but those vertical lines were not wholly in there. All right. So now I can go stretch, and I do shift right click, and I use this one here that we hardly ever use, nearest, the one we never use. It'd probably be useful for me now because I know perpendicular is already set. I can actually go nearest. It hasn't saved me any clicks, but I can start from almost opposite the table, or like opposite the table. So anywhere on that line that's nearest, it'll find nearest anywhere on a line or circle. And then I come across here, hopefully, yeah, it found the perpendicular. It might have found the midpoint for me, depending how high up I picked up on that line. In which case I have to do my tap until it comes up with the perpendicular, and then I click. Same result. How about that? Snapping. I think, one more thing with the stretch command. What's the time? Okay, half a minute. Okay, so what if I wanted to stretch it? Well, we were compressing it all this time. I just undid that. Yeah, you could, if you wanted, for some reason this was too close and you couldn't get it accurate enough and you kept getting the table. If you were to stretch it like this, the table will stretch as well. So your table becomes smaller. So you could use this method. Let's see if I can get it. I'm holding my mouse down and I'm actually sketching it. So I'll do it more like this. So if I started from here and I went straight up, I would have got the table, eh? I don't want to do that. So what I do is do the lasso thing, yeah, and just customize it so it misses the bits that I don't want to pick up. So now I can go stretch and we'll be okay. Shift right click perpendicular, and you can shut down and go home. How about that? You got to be careful here if you're stretching here. That this is a good example. If you're stretching here, now I've got the end of that line that'll stretch as well. But if I didn't want it, I have to customize it. And I go, okay, I'll make this room so 1,000 long. Maybe horizontal. Hold on. Stretch like that. 1,000. What I've just done, sorry, it's a bit on an angle, sorry, but you can see here, I've made my doorway 1,000 bigger as well, eh? So you got to be careful here that you go, you customize this thing exactly like, this way. It's got to be the green one. So you miss the doorway, so you're only just making it bigger across, not including the doorway, all right? Sorry, yeah, or otherwise you just do customize it so you're picking up the whole doorway. That's the wrong color, so that goes across with it. Anyway, I'll let you be, and we'll see you next week with another exciting session. All right, see you.